You have to know your woman well to understand what makes her tick. So in this video, we have 10 psychological facts of women they will never tell you. Number 1. Studies have consistently shown that women tend to place a higher value on their relationships with friends and family than men. This tendency is often attributed to the socialization of girls and women, which places a strong emphasis on nurturing and caring for others. As a result, women often prioritize their relationships and emotional connections over their own career and personal goals. For example, women may sacrifice their career advancement or put off personal aspirations in order to care for a sick family member or spend their time with their children. This prioritization of relationships over personal goals is not necessarily a negative thing. It can help women create strong social networks and support systems, which can be beneficial for their mental health and well-being. Number 2. Now, women tend to have better memory than men in certain areas, such as memory for faces, words, and events. However, it's important to note that the differences in memory ability between men and women are generally small and vary depending on the type of memory task. One possible explanation for the differences in memory ability is that women tend to use different strategies when encoding and retrieving information. For example, women may be more likely to use verbal or semantic strategies, which can be more effective for remembering words or faces. Men, on the other hand, may be more likely to use spatial or visual strategies, which can be more effective for remembering spatial information. Another factor that may contribute to differences in memory ability is the influence of hormones. For example, research has suggested that estrogen may have a positive effect on memory in women, particularly in the areas of verbal and episodic memory. It's important to note that individual differences in memory ability are more strongly influenced by factors such as age, health, and education than by gender. Additionally, while women may have a slight advantage in certain types of memory tasks, men may excel in other areas such as spatial memory. Number 3. Did you know that women tend to be more detail-oriented and meticulous than men? However, it's important to note that individual differences in these traits are more strongly influenced by factors such as personality, experience, and education than by gender. One possible explanation for the differences in detail-orientedness is that women tend to use different cognitive strategies than men. For example, women may be more likely to use a holistic processing style, which involves paying attention to the details of an object or situation as well as its overall context. This cognitive style may contribute to women's ability to notice small details and be more meticulous. Another factor that may contribute to the gender differences in detail-orientedness is socialization. Girls and women are often socialized to pay attention to details and to be more thorough and careful in their work, which may lead to a greater emphasis on these traits. Number 4. They say men don't cry, but that's the wrong way to put it. Men aren't expressive enough. Studies have consistently shown that women tend to be more emotionally expressive than men. Women are more likely to openly express a wider range of emotions, including happiness, sadness, fear, and anger. They're also more likely to cry, show vulnerability, and seek emotional support from others. One possible explanation for the gender differences in emotional expression is socialization. Girls and women are often socialized to be more in touch with their emotions and to express them more freely. Boys and men, on the other hand, are often socialized to suppress their emotions and to avoid appearing vulnerable. Another factor that may contribute to the gender differences in emotional expression is biology. Research has suggested that women may have a greater capacity for emotional awareness and regulation due to differences in brain structure and function. Specifically, the amygdala and prefrontal cortex, which are involved in emotional processing and regulation, may be more active in women than men. Number 5. Do you know why most jobs strictly require women? Jobs like receptionists, air hostess, nurses, etc. prefer women because women tend to have an advantage in verbal communication compared to men. Women tend to be more skilled at expressing themselves clearly and articulately, using a wider range of vocabulary and conveying emotional nuances in their speech. One possible explanation for the gender differences in verbal communication is brain structure and function. Research has shown that women tend to have larger and more active language centers in their brains, which allows them to process and produce language more efficiently. Additionally, women tend to have a largest corpus callosum, the bundle of nerve fibers that connects the two hemispheres of the brain, which may facilitate communication between the language centers in each hemisphere. Another factor that may contribute to the gender differences in verbal communication is socialization. Girls and women are often encouraged to engage in more verbal activities such as reading, writing, and conversation, which can help to develop their language skills. Boys and men, on the other hand, may be encouraged to engage in more physical activities, which may not emphasize the development of verbal communication skills to the same extent. Number 6. Women are more likely to be diagnosed with anxiety and depression than men. Research suggests that this difference is prevalent due to a combination of biological, psychological, and social factors. Biologically, women are more susceptible to hormone fluctuations that can impact their mood and contribute to the development of anxiety and depression. For example, the menstrual cycle, pregnancy, and menopause can all affect a woman's hormone levels and increase the risk of developing anxiety or depression. Psychologically, women may be more likely to experience certain types of stressors that can contribute to anxiety and depression. For example, women are more likely to experience sexual harassment, discrimination, and other forms of gender-based violence, which can contribute to chronic stress and psychological distress. Additionally, women may be more likely to internalize their feelings and engage in negative self-talk, which can exacerbate symptoms of anxiety and depression. Social factors also play a role in the gender differences in anxiety and depression. Women are more likely than men to experience poverty, financial stress, and caretaking responsibilities, which can contribute to chronic stress and psychological distress. Additionally, women may face greater social pressure to conform to certain beauty standards and social norms, which can lead to feelings of inadequacy and low self-esteem. Number 7. It is true that women are more likely than men to seek social support, both in terms of the size of their social networks and their willingness to seek emotional support from others. Research has shown that women tend to have a larger and more diverse social network than men, and they're more likely to maintain close relationships with family, friends, and community members. One possible explanation for these gender differences is socialization. Women are often encouraged to be more nurturing, empathetic, and emotionally expressive than men, which may lead them to prioritize social relationships and seek emotional support from others. Additionally, women may face more social pressure to conform to gender norms and expectations, which can create a greater need for social support. Another factor that may contribute to the gender differences in social support seeking is the availability of resources. Women are more likely than men to have access to social and emotional support resources, such as counseling services, social support groups, and community organizations, which can facilitate their ability to seek help when required. It's important to note that while women may be more likely to seek social support than men, it does not mean that men do not benefit from social support. Men may have different social support needs and preferences, and may be more likely to seek practical or instrumental support, such as help with tasks or problem solving, rather than emotional support. Number 8. Research has shown that women tend to be more cooperative than men, both in terms of their behavior in groups and their approach to conflict resolution. Women are more likely to seek consensus and compromise, and are less likely to engage in aggressive or competitive behavior. One possible explanation for the gender difference is socialization. Girls are often encouraged to be more nurturing, empathetic, and collaborative than boys, which may lead them to prioritize group harmony and seek to create a sense of unity within social groups. Additionally, women may face more social pressure to conform to gender norms and expectations that value cooperation and consensus building. Another factor that may contribute to the gender differences in cooperation is the value placed on relationships. Women tend to place a high value on social relationships and are more likely to prioritize as a key component of their identity and well-being. This may lead them to prioritize maintaining positive relationships within groups, even at the expense of personal goals or interests. Number 9. Now, there's some evidence that suggests that women may be better at certain types of multitasking tasks, such as tasks that require juggling multiple cognitive or emotional demands simultaneously. One possible explanation for the gender difference is that women may have more efficient brain connectivity between different areas of the brain that are involved in multitasking, such as the prefrontal cortex and the anterior cingulate cortex. This may give women an advantage in tasks that require them to switch between different types of information or stimuli quickly and efficiently. Another possible explanation is socialization. Women are often expected to balance multiple roles and responsibilities in their personal and professional lives, which may lead them to further develop better multitasking skills. Additionally, women may receive more encouragement and support for developing organizational and time management skills, which can facilitate their ability to handle multiple tasks at once. It's important to note that while women may be better at certain types of multitasking tasks, this doesn't mean that they're inherently better at all types of tasks or that men cannot develop strong multitasking skills. Additionally, it's important to recognize that multitasking can have a negative effect on productivity and cognitive functioning, and that there are limits to the amount of information that the brain can effectively process at once. As such, it may be more effective to focus on developing strong organizational and time management skills to maximize productivity and efficiency, rather than relying solely on multitasking. Number 10. Lastly, research has consistently shown that women tend to be more empathetic than men, which means they're better at picking up and understanding the emotions of others. Empathy is a complex process that involves both emotional and cognitive components, such as the ability to recognize, understand, and respond to others' emotions. One possible explanation for this gender difference is socialization. From an early age. Girls are often encouraged to be more nurturing, empathetic, and emotionally expressive than boys, which may lead them to develop stranger empathy skills. Additionally, women are often socialized to prioritize relationships and emotional connections, which may make them more attuned to the emotions of others. So, that's gonna do it, guys. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll be back with more.